Good morning and happy Sunday. I'm Reverend Dr. Keith Cox, and welcome to our Sunday morning celebration service. It's Sunday, November 3rd in the year 2024. If you are joining us live, that means you have successfully moved through the time change situation in the United States of America, and you have chosen to fall back, meaning we've gained an extra hour on the clock in this wonderful program we have in our country of saving time. I'm so happy to have you join us today. On this day, we are airing a previously recorded Sunday celebration service for your viewing pleasure and for your inspiration. I'm away for the weekend and have taken some personal time off. And so I know that today's service, even though you may have seen it before, is one that will provide inspiration, some clarification, some new ways of looking at our teachings in the science of mind, and you get to enjoy the musical celebration that takes place as well. I look forward to having you enjoy this and hope to see you next Sunday, which will be November 10th, in person at our home at 1200 North La Brea Avenue. Enjoy and have a great service. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. Happy Sunday. Happy Sunday. Nice to see your faces. Our special musical guest today is Tamir Grimberg. And thank you. And we're just going to play a little music before the service starts.
I'm sitting in the railway station, got a ticket to my destination. On a tour, one night stand, my suitcase and guitar in hand, and every stop is neatly planned for a poet and a one-man band. Homeward bound, I wish I was homeward bound. Home, where my thoughts escaping, home, where my music playing, home, where my love lies raining silently for me. Every day's an endless train of cigarettes and magazines. And each town looks the same to me, the movies and the factories. And every stranger's face I see reminds me that I long to be homeward bound. I wish I was homeward bound. Home, where my thoughts escaping, home, music playing, home, where my love lies raining silently for me. Tonight I'll sing my songs again, I'll play the game and I'll pretend. But all my words come back to me in shades of mediocrity, like emptiness and harmony. I need someone to comfort me. Homeward bound, homeward bound. I wish I was homeward bound. Home, where my thoughts escaping, home, music playing, home, where my love lies waiting silently for me. Silently for me. Thank you. There's a calm surrender to the rush of day, when the heat of the rolling rain can't be turned away. An enchanted moment, and it sees me through. It's enough for this restless warrior just to be with you. And can you feel the love tonight? It is where we are. It's enough for this wide-eyed wanderer that we got this far. Can you feel the love tonight? How it's laid to rest. It's enough to make kings and vagabonds leave the very best. There's a time for everyone if they only learn that the twisting kaleidoscope moves us all in turn. There's a rhyme and reason to the wild outdoors, when the heart of the star-crossed forger beats in time with yours. And can you feel the love tonight? It is where we are. It's enough for this wide-eyed wanderer that we got this far. And can you feel the love tonight? How it's laid to rest. It's enough for this wide-eyed wanderer that we got this far. It's enough to make kings and vagabonds believe the very best. It's enough to make kings and vagabonds believe the very best. Thank you.
And please welcome to the Beamer, Reverend Dr. Keith Cox.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone. So good to see you all. A huge welcome to Tamir Grinberg, who's with us this morning. And of course, the one and only Andy Belling. So happy to have you here. I'm so happy to have Tamir here, and when we had communicated with him about coming today, he shared with us that the timing is perfect because he leaves on Thursday to move to New York to further his career. So as our service unfolds this morning, let's all know together and affirm for him, as we did in a prayer that we had prior to you all coming in the room this morning, that today is the launching pad for him, that he's steeped in metaphysics and in the foundations of this teaching, that everything he's done up until this very moment, every tinkling of the ivory, every song he sang, everything he's done has led him to this moment, so that when he flies to the East Coast and puts new roots down there in Brooklyn, New York, that his career soars just like he did across the United States of America, as he did from Israel. So we affirm that for you and know that for you, Tamir, and really happy that you're here today. Thank you. So welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living Los Angeles. It's a real pleasure to be here with you today. And if you're new and you're here for the first time, thank you for being here. And as regulars that are here, it's good to see you again, having had a week away for vacation. And it's nice to be back among our friends and family and feeling the love that was just being sung off. Can you feel the love today? Okay, let's do that again. And so, can you feel the love today? There we go. So you know, sound effects are normally going on inside my head. I just didn't know that they actually showed up in the world. And for those of you that are watching online, I'm sure that are hoping that you're getting to feel the love that's coming here from within this community, as well as on our live stream up above and Facebook Live that Jesus is working today. So we are a spiritual community that is known as the Center for Spiritual Living Los Angeles. We come together every Sunday morning and at times during the week to connect with each other and to honor the power of the divine that exists equally among each and every one of us. That is known as the power of God. That's what's spoken of by Dr. Ernest Holmes in the book, The Science of Mind, which is one of the dominant aspects of the information that we follow, if you will, along with many other new thought religions. And the concept behind that is that one power that exists within us, we both individualize it as well as experience and express it through our thoughts, our beliefs, our actions, our reactions, and our interactions with life. And if we want to see what's going on in our life, we get to look in the external, or what's transpiring in form in our life, which it gives us the outer experience to look at that is a reflection of what's taking place on the inner at the mental level. And so should we not like what we're experiencing in the external, or should we want to take the position of predetermining what we would like to have manifest in the external? We do all of that by focusing on what's taking place within our mind. And our mind in our philosophy is considered an individualized expression of the mind of God. If you don't like the word God, it matters not. You can change it and call it something else. Dr. Holmes calls it also source and the thing itself in the book. I often say you can use whatever name you want to call it. You can call it source, you can call it God, you can call it dog, you can call it Beulah, you can call it Barry, and who knows, before soon in my life I might call it Bella. So just know that that's how life unfolds. So before we move on, celebrating the philosophy and the faith and the way of life known as the Science of Mind here this morning, I'd like for you to take a moment and just say hello to those that are seated around you. So and I'm sure those online have said hello to those that they're seeing as well. And Andy's playing a little soundtrack again for us in the background for our life as we getting to know you. Okay, it's enough of that, right? All right. You can tell I'm rested today. You can tell when I'm not. I'm rested today. So we open our service every Sunday morning with a ritual called Calling in the Light. And our practitioner, Tim Barber, is going to come up and take us through the ritual in just a moment. And our illuminator, one of our board members, Matt Fonda, will come here to do that. We're going to do it a little bit different today, and Tim will tell you a little bit more about that when he gets here. But given the events that have transpired in our world, and specifically our country in the last week and more, I want each of us to become reflective and introspective during this time, and just really listen to the words of calling in the light, of feeling the energy that is transpiring during this healing moment of ritual, and to send out love to all that are affected. And when I say all that are affected, I'm not talking about those that just had a bullet enter their body, or those who shot the bullet, or those that were of the emergency teams, or anyone just simply in the presence of these horrific events that continue to transpire. But all of humanity is affected. And so oftentimes we lose sight of what that really looks like on an individualized basis. And I was just upstairs talking to the rabbi as she's doing some work upstairs right now, of In El Paso, there's a very good chance that they're unable to identify people because of individuals that had either crossed the border or were coming up just for one day, or they don't want to be identified because they had. So there's all kinds of pieces that go with that. And so now is the opportunity for us to extend the love that Tamir was just speaking of, but not love just in the sense of human love and compassion. In addition to that, the love as defined by Dr. Ernest Holmes, which is the self-givingness of spirit, whose desire is to create more of itself out of itself, and the only way that that can be done is through you and through me, and we do that by using our mind. So I would like to invite up Tim Barber as our practitioner of the day, and Matt Fonda, and our musicians will take us along on this journey. Thank you.
Calling in the light, calling in the light, calling in the light of love, calling in the light, calling in the light, calling in the light of love.
So today I invite us to perform this ceremony to promote the universal consciousness of life, which recognizes that all people of all faiths, all sentient beings, come from one great universal presence, which we call spirit. The purpose of this ritual is to draw into our gathering a conscious awareness of our oneness with spirit, and a remembrance that the light of the divine animates all sentient beings. The quality of the divine we use today in this ritual is light. Light is defined by Dr. Holmes as, in flashes of illuminations, the inspired have seen into the very center of reality and have brought back with them a distinct impression of what they have seen and felt. A glimpse of this reality illumines the whole being with a flood of light. Today we recognize that light is both the illuminating force and the beacon. And with those two qualities, we take a moment and send love to all beings affected by violence and acts of terrorism, hatred, and injustice. Today we know and celebrate their innate nature as spiritual beings. We see them safe, healed, perfect, fearless, and strong. As students of the mind and oneness of life, we affirm our mind activity has power, and this moment is invoking healing. So we light the candle this morning for healing. I ask each of you to take a moment and bring into mind anyone you would like to put into the healing light, which includes yourself and all the children of the world and anyone affected by the state of our country, so that all may experience the eternal and everlasting love of the divine. So I ask you to take a few minutes, sit quietly with that idea. So now let's come back to calling in the light.
I am love. I am love. I am peace. I am peace. In my heart. In my heart. I am free. I am free. I am spirit. I am spirit. I am soul. I am soul. All together, we are whole. We are whole. Calling in the light, calling in the light, calling in the light of love. Calling in the light, calling in the light, calling in the light of love. Calling in the light of love. And so it is, and so it is. And so it is.
So please join me in a spiritual mind treatment. Let's know right now there's one force, one thing going on, spirit, that made us in its image and made everything in its image, perfect, fertile, healing, eternal, intelligent, empathetic, everything, all beings, everywhere, children, adults, friend and foe, all perfect, all animated by that one force we call spirit. And together we celebrate this union, and we know all is well. We know we turn a corner right now by means of these words and invite love and understanding and empathy and cooperation and trust and fearlessness and faith into our world and the worlds of all around us. We take this idea, we lift it up, and we let it go. Those words are done. They've created something we recognize now as perfect, safe, whole. We celebrate, that's how it works, and together we say, and so it is.
Thank you, Tim. Thank you, Matt, Tamir, and Andy, and thank you to each of you. So the theme for today is really all about connecting deeper to the power within us. And this next song that Tamir and Andy will do continues that theme. And it's titled
Heaven Help Us All.
Heaven Help Us All by Stevie Wonder, right? And so on this vein of continuing to stay connected to the power of healing in our world while not being ambivalent to what is ours to do, I invite you to hear the lyrics of this song and enjoy it being performed by Tamir and Andy.
Heaven help the child who never had a home. Heaven help the girl who walks these streets alone. Heaven help the roses if the bombs begin to fall. Heaven help us all. Heaven help the black man if he struggles one more day. Heaven help the white man if he turns his back away. Heaven help the man who kicks the man who has to crawl. Heaven help us all. Heaven help us all. Heaven help us all. Heaven help us all. Hear our call when we call. Heaven help the boy who won't reach 21. Heaven help the man who gave that boy a gun. Heaven help the man and the people against the wall. Heaven help us all. Heaven help us all. Heaven help us all. Heaven help us all. Hear our call when we call. Now I lay me down before I go to sleep. In a troubled world I pray the Lord to keep the hatred from the mighty and the mighty from the small. Heaven help us all. Sing, heaven help us all. Heaven help us all. Heaven help us all. Hear our call when we call. Can I play a little bit? Heaven help us all. Heaven help us all. Heaven help us all. Hear our call when we call. Heaven help us all. Heaven help us all. Heaven help us all. Hear our call when we call. Heaven help us all.
Thank you.
Tamir Greenberg and Andy Belling. Woo, woo. The dude can sing and release his soul. I love it. I love it. You know, the lyrics of that song, telling us heaven help us all, more than likely, I'm going to assume, was written in the context of traditional heaven, of getting to a place post earthly plane, whereby the arrival, the pearly gates open, and you live in a state of bliss. And that is a contrary to what heaven means in the philosophy of metaphysics and certainly the science of mind, where heaven, from that which we believe and practice and teach here, is not a destination but a state of mind. and that you get to experience heaven, the blissful nature of life, in your state of mind when we choose to let it be. Now, the challenge that oftentimes comes with that for us as metaphysicians, and certainly those of us that were taught through 20th century metaphysics, I know none of us were around to have been taught that during 19th century metaphysicians. But in 20th century metaphysics, it was about, I'm going to control my thinking, therefore I'm going to align with my divinity, and by God, I'm going to have a heavenly state of mind, right? Which innately is a bit contrary. Wouldn't you agree with that? And I don't think that, and I'm going to speak for many of you, and certainly for myself, I don't regret a moment of that training. I think it was important for all of us to go through that. And I think in many levels, it's still important for us to use the tools of that to understand that we're always at choice. But to rise to a higher state of mind of realizing that for us to tap into that state of mind, of bliss, of oneness, of in alignment with our divinity at the highest consciousness possible, requires really only one thing of us, and that is to let go of everything that isn't it. To simply let go of anything in our state of mind that is arguing with that, or fighting with that, or believing that there's something other than that. Now, I'm not going to stand here before you with a cute hairdo and a wine shirt and beautiful jewelry and tell you that that journey is an easy one. It's not. But it is one that requires diligence and attention and willingness and a receptivity to not living life based on the external. It comes from living a life of building, as our beloved Marianne Williamson says, building a spiritual musculature so that you have a foundation in life of a state of mind, a consciousness that knows and knows that you know and knows that you know that there's only one thing ever taking place. That's the activity of God or Beulah or Bella or the thing itself or whatever you want to call it. That's all that's ever happening. And that you and I and all sentient beings are that fully realized as we are, as we walk this earthly plane, and that we have the ability to allow that to be the foremost aspect of our consciousness, and in so doing, when we leave that to be and let it rise up, then that becomes the dominant, if you will, aspect of our state of mind, and then our experiences reflect that. I wear oftentimes on my arm this bracelet, which in the center is the tree of life. How many of you all know the tree of life? And what the tree of life represents and what it means in spirituality is that as deep as you are willing to plant your roots into the groundedness of the foundation of knowing who you are as a spiritual being and acting in accordance, that's how high the tree will actually grow and reach out. And so the external, if you will, the tree coming from the ground and up, is reflecting the internal. At all times, there is the opposites and the equal taking place of form or experience in life to state of mind. So what that all comes down to is it's up to us to tend to our state of mind at all time. And this morning I want to speak to that of not really trying to consciously program our mind, but to let our divine mind rise up and guide us. Now, I don't know about you guys, but for me, it's been an interesting frickin' week in the United States of America. How about you guys? I mean, it's really been, for me to re-enter into, from vacation and dealing with some stuff on vacation and dealing with this horrific and senseless gun violence that's taking place in our country and these numerous tragedies that are unfolding. And it just seems to be, for me, I can only speak for myself, at times what is transpiring is actually numbing. I feel like I'm becoming numb to what is actually taking place in the psychosis of our country today. Because I personally believe there is psychosis, there is psychotic behavior taking place, where it is becoming the norm that people can walk around in public with guns, AR-15s or whatever the hell they are, and pull them out and shoot people up, and numerous people die, and there's nothing done about it. I think that's a little psychotic. And yes, right, it's a little psychotic. And in addition to that, and this will be all of my rant, in addition to that, we're not really doing anything to hold our politicians accountable, right? So there is this nuttiness that's taking place out there, and really there's a lot of nuttiness taking place in here, right? So what do we do? How do we deal with that? Because that alone can be paralyzing as to what to do, how to react, and where to go. And that's before we even dive into the everyday aspects of living life. Now, I'm going to give you an insight as to what it's like to live as a minister. And I'm not going to share this with you as woe is me. I've gotten really clear what I'm called to do on a daily basis is what I have said yes to when I said yes to stepping not only just physically into this role as the minister, but in the role of being the person who said yes to being the conduit to supporting individuals finding their personal self-empowerment through a spiritual awakening. Because I rolled back into here last week, having just dealt with the death of one of our young congregants that some of you know that was quite unexpected, and his family, and you'll hear more about that later. And I rolled back in and needed to write an article for the newsletter. I needed to deal with the parents of the child who had passed away, and then I needed to prepare for a memorial service for a loved one. Then I needed to make a decision whether or not I was going to honor my appointment at Boxer Rescue and go adopt a new pup or not, which I hadn't really felt like I had dealt with the passing of my previous ones yet, and then step into dealing with preparing for today's message, and then taking my car to the shop, and it goes on and on and on and on and on. Now, we all go through that stuff, right? We all have that stuff in life. I was just sharing with you a little bit of what that was like for me. And the moment that I became completely immobilized in my life was when I had to make the decision whether or not to go and adopt a dog. Right? So I was like, am I ready to do that? And I reached out. Well, the answer is, of course, yes, right, at some point, right? And we'll get into that. Well, you'll see if when that happens, you'll know. I don't hold much back. And Bella. And so, but what I've learned, and I've shared this with all of you before as well, is that when I get in those moments of feeling like I don't know where to turn, right? I've learned that as a student of this teaching, my role is to reach out to someone who I know can know the truth for me. And I'm sharing that with you because I hope that each and every one of you does the same. That there's someone in your life, whether they're a trained practitioner or not, someone that you trust that knows how to speak the truth for you and to you, and you will listen. Now, I know there's a lot of people that I'm that person for them, and then I need that. So I reached out to my dear friend and said, here's what's going on in my life, and I don't really know what to do, and I feel like I've had some writer's block, and blah, 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 and then I got to deal with the passing of Sadie and the memorial service and a new dog. What do I do? And she took a deep breath and she said, here's what I want you to do. She goes, I want you to do exactly what it is that you tell all of us to do all the time. Go sit down and get quiet. He said, get quiet. And when you get quiet and you listen, the very thing that you need to know will make itself known. The very thing that you need to know will make itself known. That's the heaven that was being spoken of in that song. It's that going to that place where we simply stop and listen. Not just for a voice, but to feel the energy of being guided into what the next step is. What is the next thing to know? What is the next behavior to exhibit? And then to act in accordance with that. Because in our teaching, we say all the time that there's only one thing ever taking place. That's the activity of the divine. That God, once again, whether you use that term or not, is all there is. That is either true or it's not. But what I've learned is that when I do shut the hell up and get quiet and listen, not just with my ears, but with every fiber of my being, Spirit responds. The waves part. And this energy rises up. And then I feel founded in the spiritual truths, not only that I know, but I know that I know that I've spent much of my life building that faith musculature. I've done it for and with others, and from there, then inspiration unfolds, revelation takes place, and calm ensues. But that can only happen for you and for me when we choose to stop and live in the present. In the very present moment, through the act of mindfulness. Now, mindfulness is a current day jargon that we hear all the time. And what does it mean? Well, it's really the objective of when we go into meditation. It's the objective of stopping. It's the objective of listening. It's becoming attuned to your mental activity, not trying to force a square peg into a round hole or overpowering your thoughts. It's about paying attention to your mind and calming and quieting down and staying in the moment. And then in the moment, and then in the moment. And the way to do that primarily is through breath. Tim gave us the great opportunity of doing that a moment ago in the ritual calling in the light. I know for all of us that we felt the energy shift when we got quiet. Right? There was, and not one of you, I was in the back, not one of you was uncomfortable. You weren't rustling in your seats. You weren't digging in your purse for a piece of candy. Like none of that was going down. Nobody was looking at their phone. We rode the energy of feeling the power and the presence of the divine in that he stated, and the children of the world, we're tending to our awareness and knowing the truth for them. And we rode that energy as long as it was a vibrational frequency. And do you know the moment that the energy shifted from it being a vibrational frequency of a fit was when the child in the room made a noise, right? Not a mistake. Angel let us know, okay, this piece is done, now move on. And he did. He did. That is an example for us of if we slow down and tune into what's taking place in the moment, in the now, in life itself, then as we say at the end of every single spiritual mind treatment, which is all is well, the truth is all is well. So how do we get there? Well, in the article by Peter Russell called Living in the Spirit of Now, titled On Being Present, he goes, countless spiritual teachers from Buddha to the Tao to Ram Dass and Eckhart Tolle have urged us to be in the present moment. In a sense, we're always in the present. Our past we know from memories, but those memories are experienced in the present moment, our present state of mind. Similarly, our future is something we imagine, again, an experience in the present. Whatever we may be thinking and doing, we are doing it now. Even when we are totally wrapped up in thoughts about the past or the future, the thoughts themselves are happening now. When we say we're not in the present, we really mean that our attention is not in the now. It is looking back to the past or forward to the future. To return to the present is to return our attention to the here and the now. The mind that is attending to the present is a mind that is free from distracting self-talk about what has or has not happened or what might or might not happen. A mind in the present moment is free to experience what is. This does not imply that we no longer take any notice of the past, nor does it mean we don't consider the future. It's just simply experiencing what is now. And then breathing in, exhaling, and what is now. And then breathing in, exhaling, and what is now. Eckhart Tolle writes that it's important for us to realize deeply in the present moment that is all we have. What we're being told here is to live not only just in and as spirit, but the word for that, the root of that is inspire. And inspire means to excite and encourage, but my favorite part of this definition in the context of what I'm speaking of means to breathe life into. So what we're being called as we continue to awaken to our spiritual magnificence, and in so doing finding personal self-empowerment, is to breathe life into our awareness. And in so doing, we're breathing life into our experience. Inspire comes from the Latin word, which means to inflame or blow into. So when you inspire something, it's as if you are blowing air over a low flame to make it grow. So I invite you today to ask yourself, what within you is being inspired through Source? What in your life would you like to desire, or are you open to blowing life into in a new way in your mind, in your heart, your soul, in your being? How willing are you to let go of your preconceived notions and ideas and beliefs around what was and what is to come in regards to not only what's transpiring on our planet, but in your role as to what's transpiring on our planet? Are you willing to make a commitment to yourself today to let today be the day that you stop and get quiet and listen and breathe life into an expression through you of the divine itself? There's an affirmation technologically that just came in that said the answer should be yes. There was a gentleman who was walking in the desert when he found what said, "A telephone to God." Now the setting was Burning Man, so any of you that know Burning Man know that it's highly possible that his mind may have been altered a bit. For Burning Man is an electronic arts and music festival for which 50,000 people descend on Black Rock City, Nevada for 8 days of radical self-expression. They do that dancing, socializing, meditating, and the rest can just be called debauchery. So a phone booth in the middle of the desert stood with a sign that said, "Talk to God." And it was a surreal sight even at Burning Man. The idea was that you picked up the phone and God, or someone claiming to be God, or something that you might be hallucinating that would be God, would be at the other end to ease your pain or your concern or whatever it was you were seeking. So when God came on the line asking how he could help, this individual was ready and said, "How can I live more in the moment?" was what the individual asked. For too often he felt the beautiful moments of his life were drowned out by a cacophony of self-consciousness and anxiety. What could he do to hush the buzzing of his mind? The voice responded and said, "Breathe." This individual flinched at this frickin' New Age mantra, then reminded himself to keep an open mind, remembering that when God or the divine talks, you listen. This article goes on to say that whenever you feel anxious about your future or your past, just breathe. God went on to say to him, "Try breathing with me a few times right now." Now we just did that. so you have perspective. This article goes on to say that life unfolds in the present. But so often we let the present slip away, allowing time to rush past unobserved and unseized, and squandering the precious seconds of our lives as we worry about the future and ruminate about what's past. We're living in a world that contributes in a major way to mental fragmentation, disintegration, distraction, and decoherence, says Buddhist scholar B. Alan Wallace. We're always doing something, and we allow little time to practice stillness and calm. My great teacher, one of them, Dr. David Hawkins, writes, "The doorway to divinity is located and available as a direct experience in the exact split second of now, which is discernible between two thoughts." That's heady, but hear it anew. He's saying the doorway to divinity is located and available as a direct experience in the exact split second of now, which is discernible between two thoughts. What he's telling us is to let go of the thinking, so that that doorway opens up. And feel it. Don't ask yourself, am I feeling it? Feel it. Breathe. Because I know that as you and I covenant and commit to do this in our everyday life, that what we are indeed doing is not only magnifying the heaven of life that exists within us already right now, but we are radiating a vibrational frequency of this consciousness out into the world, and indeed making a difference, thought by thought, breath by breath, reaction by reaction, belief by belief, interaction by interaction, and a state of forgiveness by state of forgiveness. That you and I need not be immobilized or paralyzed at this time in life. In fact, quite the contrary. I think we're being called at a higher level than ever before to stand up and to speak truth, to stand up and demand of our country to hear us, to stand up and take care of those that can't take care of themselves, and to do that not from a place of hierarchy, not from a place of I'm greater than you, but from a place of honoring deep within us the love, the self-givingness of spirit whose desires to create more of itself out of itself to us and through us in a way that we trust with every fiber of our being that what we are doing is making a difference. And then when that becomes too difficult, we stop and take a deep breath in and feel that doorway of the divinity open, and exhale. And then breathe in again and exhale. And then stand up and put our big girl panties on and step forward again. Today's the day. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. It's my pleasure to welcome back Tamir Grinberg and Andy Belling.
Okay. I'm going to change the song, and I'll do a song that I wrote. That's to do with me moving to New York and something about back home, Tel Aviv, and feeling free. Free from thoughts, free from everything that holds me down to earth, walking down tough doesn't go, life feels intimate. Take me out into the city, summer's in the air. California's nothing like New York. Now I'm leaving town. Now I know every street and corner, and I can tell if she is not around. Free from judgment, free from religion, it's not always fair. In these walls, feels like a prison. Man, I need some air. California is nothing like New York. Now I'm leaving town, and I know every street and corner, and I can tell if she is not around. Free, 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 free. Free, free, free. Free, free.
Thank you.